When you dream of owning your own winery, you want it all. The best winemaker, the best vineyards, hand sorting, all of it. That dream has become a reality with Black Cordon Vineyards. Well, thanks so much for joining me today. So tell me a little bit about how this journey started for you.
Yeah, that's a good question. It is a long journey, but it actually started with me back when I was 18 years old. I got into wine, and I was into French wine only, so I was a big wine guy with France. And then I was in San Francisco in 1978. Heard about Napa Valley because of the Judgement of Paris wine tasting.
Of course.
And so I came up here to see what was going on, a little bit chauvinistic. I didn't think they'd have much to offer. And came up here, and it was a drizzly, gray April day, and I just fell in love with the valley. It was spectacular. And the first wine I had up here was a Sterling Reserve Chardonnay, 1975. And then a Boileau Vineyards Cabernet Sauvignon, and I couldn't believe the fruit that was in the wine. So that kind of put me on a quest to know more about Napa Valley. So in 1983, I brought Karen here for the first time, and she fell in love with it just as much as I did.
It was spectacular.
Yeah, so we had a great time, and we ended up getting married here in 1987. We were actually, we could really say we were the first destination wedding in Napa Valley.
Really?
They had not done that before, and they cobbled it together for us. It was spectacular. We said, well, are we going to follow our dream of being in the valley and making wine, or are we just going to talk about it every time we open a bottle of wine and get a little buzzed? And so we decided to stop what we're doing. This isn't retirement. This is a second career.
Right.
And completely a 180 from what we're doing, and here we are.
Dove right in.
Dove in, yeah.
So you source grapes from some of the most prominent viticulture areas in the Napa Valley and surrounding areas. Tell me, how did you select those?
Well, when we first came here, I thought you could grow grapes anywhere and it would be fine. Really, only about 5% of the land is great. The rest of it's pretty darn good, but only 5% is really great. And so that kind of was a rude awakening to me when I had to learn that. We hooked up with Paul Hobbs early, which was very fortuitous.
Absolutely.
Led to about 4 or 5 years of spending a lot of time with Paul. We'd go around to his vineyards. He'd come around to vineyards that we were looking at. We'd go explore new vineyards together. And so it was a lot of learning from Paul, and then other people out here. I learned a lot about viticulture as well.
And your winemaking philosophy, which I believe you share with Paul, is very minimalist, correct?
Absolutely. And what I found now is that it's all about balance. Any wine, no matter what varietal it is, no matter where it's grown, no matter how you make the wine, it's all about balance. And if you have balance in a wine, you have a good wine.
So now you have this beautiful estate property where we are here today. So tell me about your estate vineyards and some of your vineyard practices and what you want to focus on in your own estate vineyards.
Well, the main thing is to get to know your vineyard. And you know, back when we were not in the business, I used to read things like that, and I thought, you know, that was kind of prosaic and romantic and whatever. But really, if you took us out into this home vineyard here in Mount Veeder, Karen and I know every row and every vine, and we can tell you what it's doing at any given time. We touch those vines constantly.
That's fabulous.
David and I, it took us a while, but we finally realized that we're farmers.
Absolutely.
And that's our most favorite part of the whole entire wine process is we really like working in the vineyards. That's just, it's great.
Now, but you've been coming to Napa Valley for well over 30 years before you ever moved out here. How have you seen it change over the time?
Oh my goodness, tourism. It's huge. When we first were here, there were very few wineries, there were very few tasting rooms, and there was basically very few people in general.
I guess you can say, kind of the small world philosophy of sitting around enjoying a bottle of wine with friends, and that's kind of that idyllic, the kind of dream that you were going for.
He would get us invited to the homes of the winemakers. We'd be in their kitchens, and their children would be on the floor coloring pictures and sticking them on top of the refrigerator, and watching the children put labels on the bottles and making money so they could buy their first bicycle, you know, things of that sort. And so that's what we're doing now, is that we're trying to share the simple aspect of Napa Valley, and not the tourism, but wine, our view, our home, because that's what Napa shared with us in the beginning.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing your story and your home with us.
Well, thank you.
So cheers.
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 A lovely story of passion and devotion and everything that makes a small winery worth savoring. Cheers, and thank you for your support.